More than a dozen Democrats joined with Republicans in the Senate yesterday voting to end the national COVID emergency declaration.
I do believe she will be ranked as the greatest speaker in U.S. history.
Musk and his claimed concern about bots on his own platform.
Trump is back on Twitter. Nancy Pelosi steps down. The Senate votes to end COVID, and all of the stuff that happened over the weekend that I was too, dunderheaded to bring on the show yesterday. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Might be the only brown guy in Earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is November 22nd, the year of our Lord 2022. So glad you're here. I missed a bunch of stuff over the weekend. I blame a cold that I had on Sunday going into Monday. I had put all of the notes that I had for the show in a different spot on my phone. I have this Google Doc that I use, but then I put a bunch of them in my notes thing because the Google Doc app doesn't work. Anyways, all of those excuses are leading to us today going over all of the stories that happened over the weekend that are big news that I feel like people should know about, but because I'm not the best at this, didn't decide to talk about yesterday. First and foremost, biggest news I think of the weekend, but of a while. Donald Trump back on Twitter. So I don't know if you saw this so I think on Thursday, Elon put out a poll of whether or not Donald Trump should rejoin Twitter, and then on Saturday, after a careful consideration of that very, very secure online Twitter poll, Elon was like, go ahead and, you can jump back on Twitter. So the former president is back on Twitter. Did you know this? Did you hear about this? Now, whether or not he actually uses it remains to be seen. He has been publicly out saying, well, I'm not going to use this platform. I have my own platform. Donald Trump is obviously trying to get Truth Social still off the ground, and also probably has a fiduciary duty to Truth Social to use that platform instead of other platforms. But his Twitter account is back and active. It's like 86 million followers or something like that. And it is interesting, too, to see the most recent tweets that the president had. It was like, it was something back the blue on January 6th or 7th or something like that. That was the most recent tweets from the president. But now he's back on Twitter. Now, what I thought was fascinating about this particular story, this particular instance, and you're going to find this hilarious. There's a video compilation of a couple different lefties on various news outlets talking about how Elon made this decision. If you don't know this already, Elon Musk is a very, very interesting person. I've said for a long time, it is fun to have the world's richest man be an interesting guy, not just like, I'm a business tycoon. No, it's fun to have the guy who's the richest man in the world launching rockets and driving electric cars and brain neural nets and tunnels and all this stuff that Elon does. It's fun to have a guy who's the richest man in the world be interesting. And so he bought Twitter, and a lot of people, I think, are taking Elon more seriously than Elon is taking himself. Not to say that Elon isn't a serious business person, because he is, but at the same time, he likes to joke around a lot, as evidenced by his entire scope of online history. He tweets out memes, he tweets funny things, he goes back and forth with AOC, which is hilarious. He's snarky and sarcastic, and I think people should come to understand that. Now, he ran this Twitter poll of Donald Trump whether or not Donald Trump should be on Twitter. This thing, what is this? It's got 15 million votes, 51% of people said yes, 48% of people said no. Also, keep in mind, Twitter is a bastion of lefty ideas, and I was going to say communists, but, that's the type of people that generally occupy Twitter. A bunch of left-leaning journalists and almost no one else. But anyways, the Twitter poll seemed to be in the affirmative, that Donald Trump should remain or should be let back and reinstated his Twitter account. Now, what I thought was hilarious about this, and I'll get to the actual video, is the amount of people saying, well, the bots could have been influential in this poll. Russians could have been voting in this poll. So much of the world, and also cheating could have been instituted in this poll, as if the poll mattered at all. Watch this clip that I was on Newsmax yesterday talking about this, and this is the clip that they played there about whether or not Elon's poll was safe and secure. Check this out. This is just kind of funny.
What do you make of Elon Musk reinstating Donald Trump?
Well, look, I mean, I get that people are on all sides of this debate. The fact that he did it with a poll of which, however many percent of those could have been bots that aren't real people voting in that.
And further contradicts Musk and his claimed concern about bots on his own platform to subject the decision to a poll on the platform that could be easily abused that way.
So I think these polls are mostly a gimmick, and I would argue the people haven't spoken. The GRU has spoken. Twitter
Russian
has become
intelligence, you mean?
100%.
I stand for the sanctity of the online sarcastic Twitter poll by Elon Musk. We must not have these election deniers, these Twitter poll deniers on your liberal media not allowing this Twitter poll to be official. This is hilarious. It's just funny. The fact that anybody even complaining about this is hilarious. So was that Adam Kinzinger and Adam Schiff, and I don't know who this guy is. Dems believe bots rigged the Trump vote on Elon Musk's Twitter account. That is freaking hilarious. The bottom line here is that Elon Musk owns Twitter outright and doesn't actually need anybody to vote. He can do whatever he wants. If the vote was 99.9% to 0.01% in the negative of, no, Donald Trump should not be allowed, he could also just say, screw what you guys think. I'm going to do whatever I want. Because he owns Twitter and can, in fact, do whatever it is that he wants. So there's that. If you haven't already, would appreciate it so much if you click the little like button and the little share button. Really, really helps us out. Let us know what you think. Would you have... did you vote in that Twitter poll on whether or not Trump should be allowed? And if so, what did you vote? I'd be curious to see in the comment section. There's a lot of people. Ava says, bribes for votes. Yes, bribes for online Twitter votes. Trump derangement syndrome is another common theme in the comment section here. Elon Musk can do whatever he wants. I'm reading from Bob. Let's see, another Bob, different Bob says, "Let's go, Brandon." What does "Let's go, Brandon" mean? I don't remember what that means. Can somebody give me a refresher in the comment section? Let's see. Moving on to more serious matter, I guess. Nancy Pelosi has officially decided to retire from leadership. Again, this is a story that happened on Friday, but because I'm bad at my job and forgot to, I put my notes in a different thing. Yeah, it was funny. Yesterday morning, I was like scrambling to find stuff to talk about, and thankfully, CBS finally did a deep dive on Hunter Biden's laptop. But I was like, I could have sworn this weekend I took a much better notes, but I put them in the wrong section, and that's why we're doing it today. A Democratic House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, announced that she will not seek re-election for Democrat House leadership on Thursday, but will remain a member of Congress. Nancy Pelosi, 82, oh my gosh, who has held the position since 2019 and previously stated would only hold the position for another 4 years, opted to step down, but will remain as a backbencher to guide the Democrat leaders, according to her speech on Thursday. Wow, it was Thursday, not Friday. Oh, we didn't do a show Friday. That's why. Holy cow. Okay, so the thing that struck me here is she's 82 years old. So I was in Kentucky. I think I mentioned this last Thursday. I was in Kentucky on Wednesday and Thursday doing some awesome stand-up gigs, and we were talking, and Mitch McConnell is a senator from Kentucky, and I was saying, Biden turns 80 on Sunday. We'll talk about that. Obama took some shots at Joe Biden, not necessarily outwardly, but internally took some shots at Joe Biden. We'll talk about that in a second. Joe Biden's 80 years old. Nancy Pelosi's 82 years old. Actually, maybe that's why that came up. And they were like, yeah, Mitch McConnell's 80 years old. And I was like, is he really? He also is 80 years old. I think there's going to be some single issue voters in the next couple cycles of, hey, let's get the 80-year-olds out of power. Not because we don't think that 80-year-olds can be productive and beneficial members to our society. But I don't know. How many of you out there watching are 80 plus or know people that are 80 plus? Maybe your parents, your grandparents are 80 plus. Do you want them in charge of the greatest country in the world, the most powerful country in the world, the greatest military on the planet. Yeah, not so much. Again, I appreciate them and will forever be grateful for all the things they did for this country and continue to do for this country. But holy cow, I would not put many 80-year-olds in charge of the entire United States. But anyways, Nancy Pelosi, 82, stepped down, yada, 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 yada. On Sunday, a spokesperson for Nancy Pelosi denied claims that she was stepping aside as she was still concerned. Let me see, what am I reading here? Okay, that's it. So basically, Nancy Pelosi said she's going to step down. That is a big shot for Democrats. Now, again, I've mentioned this so many times on this show. Nancy Pelosi, regardless, what is this little ponytail thing I got going on back here? Wow, interesting. It's funny because when I read stuff, I can also see myself on the screen, and too many tangents, too many times. Anyways, Nancy Pelosi, we've talked about this numerous times on this show. Nancy Pelosi is regardless of what you think about her politically, I disagree with pretty much everything Nancy Pelosi says policy-wise and does politically, but she's very good at it. And so this is going to be a big shot to Democrats, especially with her ability to get the party together. If you don't know this, it's been a hassle for Nancy Pelosi to wrangle the far left, the squad, the AOCs, the Ilhan Omars, the Rashida Tlaibs of her party to get closer to the norm of the party. So Nancy Pelosi has been very, very good at that, regardless of her standing. Lots of comments here. This is kind of interesting too. Mark says she didn't retire; she was fired. Yeah, I guess technically you could say that Nancy Pelosi will not be the speaker because Republicans gained the tiniest of majorities, which is their own problem. But she still could be Democratic leadership. She could be the minority leader. She could be the minority whip. She could be a lot of different things in Democrat leadership. She's decided to not do that. Wasn't technically fired from the Democrat side. She was, no longer going to be the Speaker of the House. People in the comment section too. Jabone, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Says, yeah, is that a cow lick in your hair? Yeah, it is. It is. All right, it is. I want to get to this though. Actually, wait, really quick before we talk about, wow, lots of comments flying through. Gabriel says term limits. Yeah, agreed. Hakeem Jeffries has been the name being floated around as the guy who's going to take over. He is outwardly super, super woke. I think he's from like Brooklyn or represents some New York area. But that's going to be really, really interesting to see if there's a far lefty that's going to pull the party even further to the left, which, again, I don't think the United States as a whole, as a country, is going to like. And I can imagine Democrats losing a lot if that were to be the case. All right, I want to get to this because I feel like there's some comments flying around in this comment section. Probably read the thing, the Chiron or the whatever is up in the thing on Facebook, on Getter, on all of the social media platforms things. This is actually fascinating, and I want to talk about this. This is a lot. So this actually happened last week, and didn't get to it because, again, I'm not good at my job and missed this yesterday. But the Senate voted to end the COVID emergency. We'll have details on that in just a second. Before I remind you, if you wouldn't mind clicking the little like button that's down here and the little share button, especially if you're on Facebook or Twitter or Getter or YouTube or wherever else that we stream. Actually, if you're watching anywhere live right now, would really, really appreciate you clicking the little like button down here, or the little angry button, or the confused button, or the happy button, or the laughing button, whatever little emoji button thing that is down here, and the little share button. Also, let us know in the comment section, are you shocked that the Senate, in a bipartisan manner, voted to end the COVID emergency? Wow, that's, I think, a big story. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing that, would greatly, greatly appreciate it. It helps us keep doing what we're doing each and every day here on Daily Caller Live. Also, I see a couple of you in the comment section. Where do I get that hilarious t-shirt? This is my trademark Joe Biden what shirt. You can get them on any of my social media platforms, especially if you're watching on Facebook. You can buy them there relatively cheap, and a hilarious Christmas gift for your loved ones who love to hate Joe Biden. Let's see. Let me play this clip. This is from the Today Show, I believe, talking about this. This, again, happened a couple days ago, so we're a little bit behind, but The Senate did vote to end the COVID emergency. Check this out.
More than a dozen Democrats joined with Republicans in the Senate yesterday voting to end the national COVID emergency declaration. That declaration, adopted in 2020, gives the Biden administration more tools and flexibility to fight the virus. That Senate resolution now goes to the House, but its fate there remains unclear. The White House has said that President Biden would veto the legislation.
Okay, so that's nice shot of Al Roker over there. So the Senate on Wednesday, decided to vote to end the COVID emergency. The Senate voted, oh my gosh, I can't find the article here that I had written down. Here we go. Senate votes to end COVID-19 emergency declaration. The declaration has allowed the administration to take action in response to the pandemic, such as suspend student loan payment deadlines. This is where this gets really, really interesting very quickly. Senate lawmakers on Tuesday voted to end the federal government emergency declaration on the COVID-19 pandemic, a status that has given Joe Biden administration tools to combat the coronavirus and or jam things through that we don't need. The Senate voted 62 to 36 to end the COVID-19 declaration nearly 3 years after it was invoked. It was unclear that the House would take up this measure. More than a dozen Democrats would have had to vote for this. 13, I think, specifically Democrats voted to end the COVID-19 pandemic. So 13 Democrats voted to end the COVID pandemic against the will of the president's administration. Like you heard in the end of that clip, President Biden threatened to veto any congressional effort to end the national emergency declaration status, said the Office of Management and Budgets in a statement. That's where we get to some of these comments. Dan says, will Biden veto it? Yes, he said he would. So James says, COVID is over? Question mark. Laughing face and dead face, of course. Excuse me, mute. Had to cough. Still getting over this cold, which, pretty bad. Let's see. Where was I talking about this? So, just legislation procedure. So the Senate voted for this. The House can either decide to vote on it or not vote at all. Chances are this will expire, but I would imagine if they bring it back up again in the next congressional session, the House would bring it to a vote, and I think it probably would pass considering the amount of Democrats in the Senate that were willing to let this thing go through, which would mean that a piece of legislation in the next couple weeks could be on the president's desk saying, will you end the COVID emergency? And he might, in fact, veto that. Now, one of the things that I think is fascinating about this is the several different things politically that are still being pushed forward that need the COVID-19 pandemic, i.e. the student debt forgiveness plan. We've talked extensively about that. It is currently stopped in the courts and not being done right now. Excuse me. The Biden administration's the student loan debt relief plan hinges on COVID still being an emergency. So in a lot of ways, Joe Biden ending the COVID emergency by signing that legislation that could be passed by the House and the Senate, was already passed by the Senate, would completely and entirely derail their own policy. I thought this was fascinating. This from an email that my wife's friend got and posted to Instagram regarding the student debt relief plan. I thought this is just fascinating and how this stuff all is going to end up panning out. Dear so-and-so, this is okay. So if the COVID-19 emergency ends, Joe Biden completely is out of options for the student debt, quote unquote, forgiveness plan. It's already been stopped in the courts because it is blatantly unconstitutional. I don't think it's going to have a shot on the constitutionality of it, and if the COVID-19 emergency officially ends. So the administration is sending out these emails to people who have applied. I think the biggest problem here is going to be the blowback from people who didn't get their $10,000. If you think you have $10,000, maybe even $20,000 if you have a Pell Grant, if you believe that that money is coming to you, I would be furious if that money didn't actually come to me. And that is going to cause some pretty Divisive political climate. Okay, so this is what this email says that the Biden administration is sending out to people. This email provides you with an update on the one-time student loan debt relief plan that President Biden and I announced on August 24th. We reviewed your application and determined that you are eligible for a loan relief under the plan. We've sent this approval to your loan officer. You do not need to take any further action. Unfortunately, a number of lawsuits which have been filed challenging the program, which have blocked our ability to discharge your debt at present. Oh my gosh. What would this be like if you got this email and you didn't know anything about the Constitution, policy, anything like that, and you're just like, yeah, I get this money. If you got this email with, again, being completely disconnected from what's going on politically and legally, how would this make you feel? We believe strongly that the lawsuits are meritless, which they are not. Like, that's just a flat out freaking lie. And the Department of Justice has appealed on your behalf. When they lose, they're going to blame this on a bunch of different lawsuits, even though it's blatantly unconstitutional. People are going to be pissed. Your application is complete and approved, and we will discharge your approved debt if and when we prevail in court. We will update you on when there are new developments. That is going to be a problem. Back to this article about the Senate voting to end the COVID-19 pandemic. Ending the declaration would weaken the federal government's ability to respond to COVID-19 surges and other COVID-19 policies, including federal student loan, quote unquote, forgiveness plans. Oh boy, we are in for an interesting time. A lot of people are going to be very, very upset, and it's going to be a big political problem. Which brings us to this. This is the last thing we'll talk about today. Over the weekend, which again should have mentioned yesterday. Any good talk show host mentioned this in their show yesterday. But I am not one of those, so I forgot about it. Joe Biden on Sunday turned 80. Now, I have in here that Obama takes shots, and that's technically, I think, true, but it's more of a behind-the-scenes shot. Joe Biden is the oldest person to ever serve as the president at 80 years old. I believe, right? Reagan wasn't 80. 80. Super unbelievably old. Now, the White House and pretty much everybody on the Joe Biden team decided, we don't want to bring a lot of attention to this. The man is already addled in his mental ability, and we don't want to remind people how old he actually is. Again, different people age differently, and Nancy Pelosi being 82 still seems pretty dang sharp. Same with Mitch McConnell, who's 80, and I've complained about that excessively. But Joe Biden is not one of them, and he turns 80. And I think, politically speaking, Obama took several shots at the president over the weekend when he turned 80. Now, remember, the Biden administration wants people to forget that the president is ancient, and therefore didn't really mention much about it. Having said that, Obama did. Obama posted on his Instagram account, which I can't imagine that he runs, but I guarantee you he does approve. Biden's birthday. Happy birthday, Joe Biden. There's a lot to celebrate these days, and I couldn't be more grateful that America has you sitting behind the desk, said Barack Obama on Joe Biden's birthday. Now, like I said, everybody in the administration does not want to bring attention to the fact that Joe Biden is 80 years old. But Obama, being the savvy political engineer, is that the right term? Political operative that he is, decided that, all right, well, nobody wants Joe Biden to run again. That's not good. He would lose to, literally, if a cactus decided to run for president, I think Joe Biden would lose to that cactus. But if Democrats want to replace somebody, they got to get Joe Biden out of the way. And I think what Barack Obama is doing here is reminding people how old he is and hopefully sending a message to the Democrat base saying, We don't want this guy running anymore. Remember, he's 80 years old. That's what I think Obama did. And while he didn't necessarily take an actual shot at Joe Biden, he did post something about his birthday reminding America that the man is 80 years old and should not run for president again. Barack Obama also famously said, never underestimate Joe's ability to F things up. So there's that. Interesting times we are living in. And that, in effect, will do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in Jobob. You can find me on, any of the social media platforms, Twitter, social media, or this goes where my brain is currently. I've still got like cold brain. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Getter, True Social, all of the social media platforms you can find me. Just type in Jobob. It's not at Jobob on all of them, but it might as well be. You can type in, just Jobob. You'll be able to find me. And also, if you go there, that's where you can buy the hilarious Joe Biden catchphrase T-shirts, which is a Jobob original. You can buy them on Instagram, Facebook, also at capitalistpropaganda.us. You can buy those T-shirts there. Would appreciate that, and obviously keep the conversation going there. I think I'm hilarious on Instagram, so that's where I generally do most of my my stuff. But that's going to do it. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. I guarantee you, I told you there was something I was going to talk about, but I forgot to talk about. So whatever it was that I was going to talk about, we'll talk about that tomorrow. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.